Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys, joined with Goose, Tanner, and myself. Three guys in the home loan business. Love to talk Minnesota Vikings football. Started a show here last season, and I've been kind of riding the roller coaster of a 5-4 Vikings team that would be in the playoffs if the season or if the postseason were to start today. Guys, we're on a 4-game win streak, third quarterback of the season. Josh Dobbs is looking good. We previewed the game, Saints reporter John Hendricks on last night's episode, and just wanted to get into our weekly bold predictions, some tidbits Tanner has for us, and just preview the game as a whole. So, guys, Vikings are actually home underdogs by about a field goal as of the recording here. Goose, Tanner, I'll start with you. What are you looking forward to for this weekend? What do you see?
Looking forward to seeing Josh Dobbs in his first career start as a Viking. He does have a little bit of pressure going into this game, coming off a incredibly impressive, maybe his best career performance actually in Atlanta. So another really tough defense. He does have the home crowd this time on his side, which I think helps a lot. But this team is actually pretty similar to Atlanta with a little bit better quarterback. So going to have our hands full again, I believe, this week. It's not going to be an easy cakewalk by any means. New Orleans has probably, in my opinion, one of the best defenses in the league. They're pretty talented on every single level of that defense. They got really good pass rushers. Cameron Jordan and Carl Granderson are extremely productive. Arguably one of the best linebacking cores in the league. And Paulson, I don't know if I'm saying his last name correct, but Paulson Adebo has been one of the best corners in the NFL this season. I think he's number 3 overall PFF corner, and he's second in the league in interceptions. So there's just a lot of talent to get through on that defense, and I think that our defense is going to have to play well again this week for us to have a shot. So it should be a fun game. I'm really excited.
Goose, what do you see with this weekend? If you rewatch that game from Sunday with the Falcons game, that first half was ugly.
Yeah.
And then the second half was obviously so much fun to watch and how it unfolded. But what do you see happening? What are you looking forward to?
I mean, part of the reason this team's been so fun to watch the past few weeks is like you just go into almost every game really with little to no expectations because it's been next man up and it's been a lot of injuries and players are coming in. And I think it speaks to KOC's culture that everyone that gets their opportunity is taking advantage of it. I'd like to keep seeing more of the same. I worry that if we have many more injuries, we're going to run out of that depth. So I worry about that. It's an interesting battle because if you told me at the beginning of the season, like which rosters are playing each other right now, I'd be like, what happened? But I'm actually really intrigued. So I talked a little bit when we signed Dobbs that Dobbs was like my sneaky, oh, this could be on Gruden's quarterback camp. Like this could be a mid-round steal. Like it seems like he's got great leadership and he's smart and he's got athletic ability. Derek Carr was like my other Gruden quarterback camp quarterback that I loved. Like the few things that I remember from it is he just had a really good command of they ran 7-on-7 type drills. And after the drills, he kind of pulled all the guys that he hadn't known before throwing to them, said a prayer with them, just seemed like he really bonded really well. So it's it's a battle of two quarterbacks that I liked going into the draft. And I think have good leadership traits and good throwing abilities. And maybe Derek Carr has taken too many chances here and there and turned the ball over a few too many times. I also think he's kind of gotten an unfair shake most of his career. I think he's done a lot of good things with the Raiders, and then with Gruden, it was kind of like Gruden doesn't like him and is almost trying to get him out of there. And so I think it'll be a really interesting quarterback matchup. I think it's going to be really important that I think whoever takes care of the ball the best between those two quarterbacks is probably going to come out on top with this game. And Tanner alluded to it. I think it's going to be really hard for Dobbs to live up to that game. And everyone's got these expectations of like, well, now he's had a whole week to learn the team and the plays and it's really tough. One thing I think about it is I feel like when I played baseball growing up, I always kind of didn't stress maybe a diving ground ball because you weren't expected to make that play. Whereas a ground ball right at you was kind of like, oh, I can't mess this up. I can't mess this up. And as much as last week was near impossible for him, there had to be, at least in the back of his head, where it's like, no one expects anything of me. And all I can do is wow people here. So I'm hoping it doesn't play out this way, but there could be a level of, all right, how do I top last week's performance? And I think that could maybe negatively impact him, and I hope it doesn't.
Yeah, the hype train definitely pulled back up to the station. I think the last 2 weeks, like you said, has been crazy. No expectations going to the San Francisco game. No expectations, really, like kind of mixed feelings going into Green Bay with how it shook out there last year.
Yep.
And then the Kirk injury, and then have no expectations going into last week, and then to come out on top. It does feel like be a classic example of a pretty easy letdown game for this week. So we'll see how it plays out. I, too, love Derek Carr coming out of college. I actually wanted the Vikings to draft him over Teddy. Hate to say that out loud, but I feel like the knock on him coming out of college was he does not do well when he's being blitzed. Is that a real thing, or am I thinking that up? Tanner would maybe know.
And it very well could have been. I can't remember that far back. It was 2014. But NFL players, I shouldn't say NFL players, but players in general and quarterbacks learn how to eventually deal with that. That's something that you can learn and improve, I think, throughout the time in your career. I don't think that he's always had that issue. But I think he is a guy that is pretty poised. Like, he has a good number of fourth quarter comebacks and game-winning drives throughout his career. Like, he has more than, I think, guys like Aaron Rodgers. And I think maybe even Kirk Cousins at this point in his career. Like, he has quite a few. You might have to look that up, but he's proven that he can do it.
I think this is a great segue into some tidbits for our friend Tanner here for the game this weekend.
Well, you pull those up, Tanner. I think while Tanner pulls those up, I think it was a little bit of pressure, and then maybe it was just media driven because I feel like scouts know better. But a big thing I think was David Carr going so high and fizzling out, and he was just constantly pulled back into like his brother was a bust. Are we going to take a high pick? It's like the Ohio State quarterback rule.
Yeah.
All right.
What do you got for tidbits this week, Tanner, on the Saints?
Fairly short this week, but let's get to it. Vikings are 24-13 all time against the Saints, including 14-4 in home games. So they have seemingly seemed to have had the Saints' numbers dating back to the 60s, especially at home. We've only lost four games.
This is something you've been harping on all season, and I just think it's a bunch of baloney, but it seems like you are right every week. So I endorse this stat and welcome it to continue. So
normally it feels like it's against us, so I'm happy to hear this one.
Got the number at home. So Josh Dobbs will be making his 11th career start on Sunday. Obviously, this is like his fifth team. But he has a career.
Say that again. How many?
I think like 5 or 6.
No, starts.
Oh, this is his 11th career start.
That's it?
11 career starts. He has a career record of 1-9. He's only won one game.
I would have guessed he had more starts. Anyway.
Yeah. It's been a journeyman backup for the first few years of his career, but 1-9 career record. He has 1-4 in home games. He beat Dallas earlier this year, who was a really good team.
What's his record with KOC whispering in his ear?
0-0.
1-0. Well, not as a starter, but you know what I mean.
It
Yeah,
counts.
I know what
Played
you mean
most of
there.
the game.
Technicality.
Derek Carr, Saints quarterback Derek Carr is 0-2 in his career against the Vikings, including 0-1 in Minnesota. In those 2 starts, he averaged 272 yards a game, threw for 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and a 93.7 quarterback rating. So fairly average, in my opinion. The Saints, this is a Brent bit. Brent and Goose each actually have a bit this week that I'm going to share. The Saints have not beat a team with a winning record yet this season. That's a Brent bit. Had to look that up to make sure it was factual, but it is. Jordan Addison is second in the league in touchdown catches this season. Only Tyreek Hill of the Dolphins has more. And Daniil Hunter continues to have arguably his best statistical season of his career this year. Leads the league in sacks and tackles for loss through 9 games this year.
How many more does Tyreek have right now with the bye week? And
Touchdowns?
Addison match
1.
him or pass him?
He's got 8 touchdowns.
8
and then Addison and Diggs are each tied for 7. With 7. Each have 7 touchdowns.
Imagine if at the end of this week, Jordan Addison's your receiving touchdown leader
In his rookie season. And he almost never gets nominated for Rookie of the Week somehow. Saints linebacker Demario Davis is the number 1 overall graded linebacker in the league this season. He's continuing to have a Hall of Fame career, in my opinion. He's been really, really good. Saints cornerback, usually Marshawn Lattimore. He is the number 1 corner for the Saints. He usually covers the number 1 guy, but like I alluded to earlier, Paulson Adebo, I hope I said his name right, is the number 3 overall graded cornerback this season. He is second or tied for second in the league in interceptions as well. And here's my goose bit, or a goose egg, whatever you want to call it. The Saints are 18-1. When Taysom Hill, the Saints backup tight end, quarterback, running back, whatever you want to call him, runs the ball at least 7 times in a game. So don't let him touch the ball.
7 times.
It's crazy.
And my last one here is after last Sunday's win against the Falcons, Vikings head coach Kevin O'Connell now has a better record on the road as a head coach than he does at US Bank Stadium.
That's crazy too. Okay. All right. Those are tidbits.
Those are my tidbits this week.
So a little bit of a small sample size, but Tanner's got a lot going on, so we'll give him a pass. I want you guys, we're going to throw something at you. I want you to tell me Josh Dobbs, just because this game is super intriguing, I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. Rushing yards, I'm going to give you a number, you go over or under, okay? Rushing yards for Dobbs, and we'll go at 65.
It's a good line, Brent.
Yeah,
I did not look this up. I could be way off on this, but over under rush yards.
I think with their corners, he's going to need to run. And so I'll take the over. And it's not confidently, but I would take the over slightly.
I'm going to take the over as well because New Orleans has a really good pass defense. Yeah, like you said, because of the corners, and I feel like they're just going to need to run. And if there is a weakness in New Orleans' defense, it's the run defense. So,
all right, you're both taking the over. You're going to see him running around.
Although John Hendricks did allude to, and this kind of surprised me a little bit, that they've struggled to handle mobile quarterbacks. Typically, when there is a mobile quarterback, if you have really good linebackers that can spy and hold them in check, I feel like you're usually okay. And New Orleans has really good linebackers, so that kind of did surprise me a little bit. But I think I will take the over as well.
If I remember right, I think Pete Bursich did some breakdown, and the Saints with those corners like to play a lot of man. But when you play man, quarterback gets lost in the mix, and then they switch to zone, and they've had some tough time giving up some passing yards. So I think they're kind of picking their poison and have to decide what they want to do.
All right, then I'm going to go pass yards. 210. Over under.
Tanner, you go
Passing
first this
yards for
time.
Dobbs.
Under
Goose.
210.
Over, but again, not by much.
This is the guy that said Jaron Hall was going to throw for 300 last week. So
When we made the acquisition, I said I think all three quarterbacks, Mullins, Hall, Dobbs, are pretty comparable. So that's why I'm remaining
gonna go-
optimistic.
you're talking about a fantasy relevant quarterback then going forward.
Yeah, he had a great week last week. 28
Okay.
points.
Touchdowns combined, rushing, passing, over under 2.5.
I'm going to say under 2.5.
Before you said the line, I thought the number 2, so I'm going to go under as well.
All right. I should have went 2. All right. And then the big one, the Viking stat, turnovers, fumbles, interceptions combined, over under 1.5.
Over.
Tanner didn't hesitate long. I'm trying to get your Dobbs rating here to see
Yeah.
if this thing's going to keep going up, it's going to go down, or if you're a realist, we'll call it.
Yeah. I think I would have said under until John enlightened us on how good the Saints are at taking the ball away. And as
We'll
much
give
as
the
it,
ball away, they don't even have to take it. We'll just give it.
I know. So you combine the two.
Yeah.
You combine the two, and
Mm.
unfortunately, I think over. When you're making plays, you tend to give it away a little bit more.
Goose says he's going to put up a lot of yards. He's going to turn the ball over. He's going to be fun to watch. Tanner says he's going to run around. He might not put up as many yards. He's going to turn the ball over as well. So, all right, let's get into we might as well segue into our bold predictions then, right? So Saints are favored. Vikings are home dogs. I think it bounced to 3 as of time we're recording here. So we'll go with 3. Over unders right around 40-41, about a 50-50 game again on who wins according to ESPN. So Tanner, we'll start with you on this one. Give me something that is going to happen in the game, first of all. Something bold. What do you got?
I saved one tidbit.
Ooh, you're hoarding your tidbits. Okay.
I wanted to use this tidbit towards my bold prediction. Didn't want to bring it up twice.
We got some overlap then.
Andrews Pete, who they ended up paying a pretty good chunk of money here. A couple of years ago, was their left guard, was forced out to left tackle because they didn't have anybody else that was serviceable. Trevor Penning was really struggling, and I think they've had some health issues there as well. But Andrews Pete, their left tackle, is the 4th lowest graded left tackle in the league this season, starting left tackle. So I'm going to say they're probably going to line Danielle Hunter up on that side quite a bit this year, or this game, and that's going to free up quite a few one-on-ones across the line. So I expect Flores to come after Carr, and I'm going to say 4 sacks or more this week for the Vikings defense.
Okay. Goose, give us
Good
something
prediction.
bold.
All right. This one's just kind of a gut feeling. I think Cam Bynum's going to have his second 2-interception game this season. And a little reason why is I feel like there's been a lot of games this year where he's been in position to make an interception, and it's not necessarily been an easy interception, but it's gone off his hands. And I think he's going to secure it. I just pulled it up while Tanner was going through his pressures and sacks that I'm hopefully looking forward to seeing on Sunday. And Cam has 2 interceptions. I feel like he should have more than that because he had 2 in the game. But 2 interceptions, but 7 pass deflections. And I think he's going to turn those deflections into interceptions and have another career game.
Gotcha. I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I'm This is going to happen to our defense. Taysom Hill will be involved in a passing touchdown. He could be the receiver or he could throw said passing touchdown. I've got PTSD of Keenan Allen throwing that long touchdown to, was it Mike Williams? I don't remember who caught it, but it was, he's going to get blitzed a ton. I feel like we could get caught in some trickery of some sort where Taysom Hill is involved. So that's my bold prediction there. Guys, it is a 3-point spread. Vikings are underdogs. Tanner, what's the final score and how does it play out? Give me the fourth quarter vibes along with this prediction.
I'm going to say the Saints are going to lead for a majority of the game, and the Vikings are going to make their way back and move the ball well in the second half to give us some hope and lose a heartbreaker at the buzzer. Field goal by Blake, Group A, I think is how you say his name. 27-26 Saints.
Okay, a little bit of high scoring. 27-26 Saints. Is it a walk-off or?
Walk-off.
Oh, those are the worst.
Tanner's going against his analytics.
We've had a lot of really close games with the Saints, and I just feel like they're like due for breaking our hearts for once.
You know, my biggest concern about this game is probably that you're attending it, Tanner. Because if we start looking,
I'm not sitting in Brent's seats this time, and I have a very good record when I'm
not welcome in those seats.
Yeah, don't even let him visit you, Brent. I need him as far away from those seats as possible. I still can't pick against the red hot Vikings who just seem to find a way to win week in and week out. I think it's going to be not necessarily low scoring, but lower than the past few weeks. And I think the Vikings win 24-21. I think the game is close throughout. And I think Cam Bynum's second pick is going to be like a game clincher, similar to the 49ers game.
All right. Goose is remaining optimistic.
Always.
Guys, I was going to go with a bold prediction of we will not turn the ball over. Not really because of any reason to be that hopeful, but at some point that streak has to end. And why not Sunday? But I don't know that that's going to happen. So I'm going to say they're only going to turn it over once. Be very safe on that. I'm concerned. You guys tell me if I'm wrong. When Dobbs rolls out, it feels like it's always to his right. Is that a real thing? And is that something that defensive coordinators will make sure that can't happen? Going like Baker Mayfield always rolls out to his right as well. Dobbs is obviously running on top of it, but felt like every play he made, he was rolling out to his right. So I feel like those rushing yards might not stack up like they were last week. I'm going to say we actually lose, and I hate to say this. I think we lose by probably 8 or more points. I don't think the offense is going to click this weekend. So I'll say 21-13, we lose. I hope I'm wrong, but it's just a kind of a gut feeling.
Brent,
could be the ghost cheeseburger from this morning. I don't know, but that's just a feeling.
Let me just tell you real quick. He did roll right a lot. I think maybe some of that had to do with David Quessenberry playing last minute instead
of that too.
Christian Darrisaw, who's going to be a stalwart on Sunday. No one's getting by him.
He's still a limited participant, so we don't know for sure that he's playing.
Gosh, he's not even on the injury report, though.
He's not? I thought he was.
Brent, what was your prediction? Was only one turnover this week?
No.
That's your bold prediction?
No, my bold prediction's Taysom Hill.
We're going to lose. Oh, yeah. You threw in so many little tidbits in there that
eventually
we're going to lose. Right. We're going to lose by over 8. Taysom's slinging it or catching it, and we're going to have one.
I feel like it's just going to be one of those games where the offense isn't clicking. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong, too.
You guys, that first half was ugly.
Yeah.
The Falcons. It was
ugly. But what wasn't ugly was the defense. When
21 points that's not a lot to give up either.
When the Falcons scooped that fumble up and brought it to like the 1.5 yard line and didn't get 6, that's where I was like, I don't care how ugly this game is. That's one of those momentum plays that, like, if that were the Vikings, where we scoop it up and get it to the 1 and we don't get a touchdown there, I'm like, oh man, that's going to come back to bite us. And I think if our defense and offense can keep playing complementary football and make plays and maybe keep them out of the end zone when they're in position to do so, those momentum plays are huge.
Taylor Heineke's not on the other side either this week. It's
Brent,
a gut. You guys are beating me up over a bold prediction. Come on,
I just feel like you're always the bad news bears.
What?
With your predictions? You're optimistic, but I feel like your predictions have to be the most. It's always like Greg Joseph is going to miss a field goal. We're going to lose. I feel like
Brent,
you probably have the most opposing team predictions.
I'm going to give you one more tidbit and give you a chance to change your prediction if you want to, your score prediction. The Vikings, in the last 9 home games that they've had against the Saints, have scored 20 or more points.
Yeah. I realize I want to be a Dobbs believer. I'm a Dobbs doubter for right now. He's got to prove it. It's too much hype. There's too much hype. This is a classic, like, get real excited.
Yeah, I kind of feel that a little bit. I feel that a little bit.
You got to love when Viking social media is like, I knew we needed a mobile quarterback.
And then he shits the bed.
Exactly. All right, guys. If things don't turn out the way Goose sees them happening, I already told you what I think. I don't even think I have to answer this question. So if things go wrong, what happened? What are we complaining about on Monday? And I would say the offense didn't show up.
I'm gonna use this to work in the fun little stat that I had noticed because I almost forgot to. I'm gonna say that if we lose, Alexander Mattison continuing to have an underwhelming season is going to be the big reason why. Watching the Falcons game, I felt like he came out in the second half considerably better than the first half. So I just went through and looked at his carries in the first half, looked at his carries in the second half. The first half against the Falcons, he had 6 rushes for -2 yards. So averaged -1/3 of a yard per carry. Second half, he had 10 carries for 46 yards. So he's averaging 4.6 a carry in the second half. I feel like there was a conversation. The broadcast, I think, mentioned a conversation with the O-line. I don't think the O-line changed that much. I think Madison got the ball, put his head down, and full steam ahead. So hopefully that's something that carries over from the Falcons to the Saints. If we lose, though, I think he's maybe going back to his old ways and trying to hit too many home runs when he's a put your head down, get 6 yards type of back.
You know what? I'm going to put a spin on this, Goose, because you like these spins.
Yeah.
If things don't go the way I see them and the offense is clicking, then I think we will say that November 12th, 2023 was Ty Chandler Day, and he makes an impact. He scores a touchdown. That would be a game changer right there. Then maybe you feel good about the running game going forward.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
I'd love to see that.
I would love to say happy Ty Chandler Day. Tanner, if things don't go as you see it.
This feels very obvious to me, and you're both wrong. This is obvious. If things go wrong and we get our butts kicked and lose, it's because we lost another quarterback. So I'm going to say it's because Dobbs gets hurt, and I'm assuming Jaron Hall isn't playing from a concussion, and Sean Mannion is going to be called up from the practice squad to back him up. So I'm going to say it's because Dobbs gets hurt, and we have to watch Sean Mannion finish up the game. And
so you're not saying we just lose. You're saying it's ugly then at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tanner, I will feel so bad for you knowing your resentment for Sean Mannion. If you bought these tickets, you didn't get to see Kirk, you didn't get to see Jaron Hall, you didn't get to see Josh Dobbs, you didn't get to see Justin Jefferson, and then Sean Mannion comes trotting out his
He won't leave the field.
45-year-old looking self. I every time I see how old Sean Mannion actually is, I'm blown away because he looks like he's a 50-year-old quarterback. But I will actually feel a little bad for you.
Oh, is there any chance JJ is going to play?
I mean, I think there's a chance because they activated him, but I just heard it's unlikely. Based off
But
what
is
I read.
that just like a smokescreen thing, or
Could
do
be.
you think they're being pretty
Yeah, it could be.
transparent?
Imagine if they say
That'd be
game
fun.
time decision and no one really knows until he comes right.
They have to release that stuff in the practice report, though, right? Has he practiced this week?
Yeah, he was limited.
But it looked
So-
like the one video I saw was like he was off to the side on his own, just like catching like
Stretching.
sideline passes.
He's off to the side stretching.
That's going to be super interesting when you've got him back with the way the offense has evolved since he went down. So,
Yeah.
well, I guess we'll find out Sunday at noon, US Bank Stadium. So, guys, any closing thoughts?
This is a pretty crucial game, I think, because not only is New Orleans in first place for their division, but if Tampa Bay or Atlanta decide that they want to get hot, we already did our due diligence and beat Atlanta to claim that tiebreaker. I think we need to get this one too, because New Orleans is likely going to be in for that wild card running as well towards the end of the year. So, got to get these NFC wins. These are the really important ones. I'm excited.
If we win and the Chargers can take care of business and beat Detroit, it's a half game in the division at that point. That would get real interesting because that would mean Dobbs is probably playing pretty well and Brent doesn't know what he's talking about, which would be great. So we'll see how it plays out. Have a great weekend, everybody. Hit subscribe if you've not yet done so. Give us your thoughts and predictions on Dobbs and the line coming up and what you see happening this weekend. And we will talk to you again next week. Thanks, guys.